Hello my lovelies, and welcome to today's video. My name is Alya and I'm so glad you stopped by. Today we're going to be talking about helpful tips to survive the festive season. So I hope this is something that interests you and you stick around and hear what I have as my helpful tips. So often on the holidays we're very excited about seeing our family and friends, and hopefully wherever you guys are, that's possible for you. Things are always a bit strange in the world these days, but hopefully wherever your country is at, you're able to do that. And we think about, maybe our livers a little bit. We think about our stomachs a little bit, overeating and things like that, overindulging. And how many of us actually think about the fact that our eyes are also under stress? Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of the dry skin serum into my foundation. It's been my little summer trick that I've been doing. Just one drop is fine. And yeah, so why is it important to look after our eyes? Well, the first thing is that when we become dehydrated, and that often happens when we get to be out all day and maybe out in someone else's house all day, eating and drinking, and some of you might be sitting by a fireplace, some of us might be out in the sun under, enjoying a barbecue. Depending where you are around the world, obviously that will change. You've got to remember that during these outings, whether they're for the festive season or whether they're, for someone's just gathering, everyone's going on a bit of a break at the moment. You've got to remember that hydration is absolute key, and it's key for our, for our well-being overall. Of course, we are made of over 70% water, so it's very important that, we replenish everything that we either lose through digestion or through sweating or through whatever it is, different metabolic processes. And when we replenish that liquid, we also ensure that we don't end up with things like red eye, burst blood vessels the next day in our eyes and things like that. Also, you're probably going to diminish the likelihood of having blurry vision or, beer goggles during the time as well. So there's definite benefits to always staying hydrated. It's just common sense because it's just such a common knowledge type of thing, because you know that when you're not hydrating, when you're dehydrated, how awful you feel. And the eyes are no stranger to that as well. The eyes also need a really good amount of hydration for our tear film mostly, but also for the internal structures of our eyes. And more importantly than that, our brains, which are just as responsible for all of our functions, including vision, are very, very needy of water. So the different brain functions definitely use hydration, or the brain itself uses hydration for its normal status quo, for its normal function. And it's extremely, extremely important to keep that up. The brain can simply not work well, not make good decisions, etc. when it's dehydrated. You'll feel foggy, we won't be able to make decisions as well. And yeah, it'll probably change the experience for you if you're not making good decisions, right? So always make sure that you're at least once an hour or once every hour-ish. Just a sip of water here and there is plenty. You definitely want to, if you're drinking, drink more water, but that's just the thing to do if you can remember it, of course. If you're someone who's a little bit forgetful about doing things like that when you're having a good time, just ask a friend. Make sure you're always out with a friend during these periods. It's just a safe decisions to make, to have someone alongside you and looking out for you and reminding you to do the right things. The other thing, believe it or not, is that when we're out, especially for long periods of time and we're not really having much rest, is to remember to eat. I know that sounds really, situational, and it's probably a time where most people are going to be overeating, but just in case you're going long periods of time without food, it's really great to have a snack with you. If it's appropriate, maybe just a bag of mixed nuts or some dried fruit in your bag with you is really, really convenient. Or if you're not someone who carries a bag, maybe just have some jelly beans with you, things like that. It's really important to keep your sugars regular throughout the day. You don't really want to be eating a lot on an empty stomach. You don't want to be drinking on an empty stomach. So this is something that's, again, just common sense, just to keep you at status quo, keep everything in check. But the beauty of that for the eyes is that the sugars are regular. And the eyes really enjoy a very flattened out, very very consistent system, something that almost never changes. The eyes really love that. So patients that do the best are the ones that are consistent. So this is whether there is or isn't disease. Whenever I see a really healthy eye in clinic, I always ask, what's your lifestyle like? I'm just curious, what is it that you've done different to my patients that are riddled with disease that has allowed you to stay healthy? And a lot of the time they just say, I do something every day. I go for a walk every day. I play tennis 3 times a week. I'm active every day. I love vegetables. I always have 3 veg with my dinner. Whatever it is, the answers differ and vary widely. But whatever it is, it's always fairly consistent. I think the least consistency I get is maybe every other day. So somebody who enjoys a salad every other day, or somebody who regularly has smoothies but only on the weekends, or whatever it is. There's some kind of regularity, some sort of consistency that the body and the minerals that the body uptakes can just regularly rely on no matter what. And that is so important. The body gets into habit as well. It's not just the brain and our behavior that develops habits, it's also the body. So we get into a bit of a system of how we metabolize things. So if you are regularly giving your body a break through, say, intermittent fasting, and then you suddenly stop, the body's going to feel that. If you're giving your body regular greens and then let's say you go on a holiday and you suddenly stop, that will probably give you some sort of a lethargy or some sort of a consequence as well, make you a little bit fatigued and tired and things like that, a bit bloated, sluggish, because your body is used to it. Now, over long periods of time, if you don't do that sort of stuff at all, the body's going to crave it. But at least in consistency, the habits that the body begins to rely on, you want to stay kind of on top of things. And that's important to remember while you're out having a good time with your friends and family, not to forget the things that your body is, accustomed to. So if you're someone who sort of never eats fried food, for example, or somebody who always eats fried food for that matter, you want to not forget your habits during this period. Same thing with sleep, and that's my next one. Oftentimes during these periods, we lack sleep, and that's so normal. So normal. I lack sleep all year round, so I'm not advocating that, but if you can, arrange your days, especially, after COVID and everything, we're all trying to get out and make the most of this time. If you can arrange it that you're not overwhelming yourself with commitments, that would be great, if you can. So for example, if you know you're going to be having a particularly late night, perhaps don't organize a breakfast the next morning. You want to sort of give yourself a little bit of a break. Even if you're going to wake up at the same time, at least give yourself a little bit of time to get into a routine, have plenty of hydration in the morning, have a slow start to the day so that you can at least kind of give yourself a moment to get into a vibe. Again, for the eyes, it just means consistency, and it just means that, you're going to have healthy outcome. But overall, it's just good for decision making. It's good for general how you're going to feel by the time January comes around. And it's just a good idea to generally pace yourself. Now, I mentioned sleep briefly, and I'm not, I'm a mum, so I'm a bit of a stickler with going to sleep on time, but I'm not, I'm not antisocial, and I don't, as I mentioned, sleep very well myself. But I will just mention that it's a really good idea to plan, as I said, with the things like hydration, things like rest. It's a really good idea to plan extra sleep in if you know that you're not going to be getting enough around that period of time. The problem is burnout. Unfortunately, after a certain amount of partying, or even just a certain amount of, just socializing, we do end up burning out a little bit. Now, some of us are better than others. Some of us are a little bit more, capable of handling big gatherings and other people's energy and things like that, and don't really need as much sleep, and that's great. But there are others that really do burn out really quickly from these family get-togethers that can be emotional. They can be stressful, they can be overburdening, and if you're a bit of an introvert, that can be a lot to bear. So if you are someone who just needs a little bit of recovery, I really highly recommend scheduling it in and enjoying a quiet morning with, an activity you enjoy, say a book or something, or just hanging out with just your immediate people and just relaxing and having some, actively booking in some quiet time in amongst all the fuss and muss and rush and overwhelm that is the festive season. Totally normal. I highly recommend it. That's probably something, lifelong to live by. If you're someone who burns out easily from, big gatherings and big social events, try your best to factor in, say, if you have a big weekend, factor in some quiet evenings after the week after. You want to really give your body a chance, and your hormones, your cortisol levels, a chance to reconsolidate, rebuild. If you're going to give yourself back-to-back commitments, and you're not someone who handles that well, you're much more likely to burn out, you're much more likely to become anxious, you're much more likely to become dehydrated, and you're much more likely to make poorer decisions for your health. So just a generally good advice. So I thought it was a really great opportunity to jump on this week and tell you about what I have as my practical tips to survive this social period of the year. I think that it's really important to look after ourselves even when it's a time when it's really easy to forget to do so. So I hope that some practical tips today will help you get through this period unscathed and in good health. For more things in my world, please do jump on Instagram. I always post if I'm not going to have a video up that week, and definitely keeping you guys updated on everything, including just so many other topics except eyes. So definitely go over to Instagram to see more things about my little world, and I hope to keep it interesting for you always, and there's always little developments because I can never say no. I've never got a dull moment going on. So hopefully jump on and see all the really cute things that are going on in my world. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit the big subscribe button. It will just notify you when there is a video. They're usually weekly only, so you won't be bothered too much. So I really highly recommend just to hit that subscribe button and get more tips and tricks and info about different eye diseases and different eye information. Wherever you are around the world, my lovelies, I hope you're having an amazing time. I hope you get to enjoy this season of relaxation and wind down towards the end of the calendar year. And wherever you are, I hope that things are peaceful and things are open for you. Things are definitely in turmoil here in Melbourne, but we can just look forward to a brighter day because tomorrow is always around the corner, and it's always great to have a positive outlook for better days to come. Thanks for coming along, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Bye!